Carol, who are we looking at here?
This is Grandpa Gottlieb Kuhn on his white stallion, picture taken in Russia.
And what is he doing here? Do you know?
I think he was just out on a ride, on a joyride.
Did they do that often?
Oh yes, Grandpa was a good horseman or rider. He loved horses.
And what about the three individuals in this photo?
The one on the left is my mother, Elizabeth Kuhn Marquart. The center is Gottlieb Kuhn Grandpa. And the one on the right, the lady on the right, is an aunt or a sister of Grandpa's.
And do you know where this photo was taken?
It was taken in Russia.
About how old was your mother when this was done?
She was 19.
And this is obviously right before they came over to the United
Right.
States.
They
and when
came.
did they do that? Do you know about what year? No, for sure. That's okay. What did they do when they arrived in the United States? Do you know how they traveled to North Dakota? How they made it?
The
up to
whole
North Dakota?
family.
Mhm.
The whole family came. God damn.
How many members were in the family at that time?
7, but there were some married ones too. Well, there were 7 children, and some of them were married, but I don't know how many.
Did your mother ever talk about the trip to the United States via ship or?
She said it was a long trip, and they had very, very little money. They landed in New York, and then they came all the way to south central North Dakota, around the Linton area. And they were there. They stayed with another brother of Grandpa's, I believe, for a while. And then they decided to come to Napoleon.
And do you remember why they chose to come to the United States?
The land was free, and they had other relatives living over here of Grandma Bush. She was a Bush, and I believe that's why they said, come on to the land of the free. God damn it, when did they come over?
Now, who is this here?
This is my grandpa, Joseph Marquart the Fourth.
And what's he doing here? Was this a traditional type of photo, or did they go to a studio? Maybe at his house? What do you remember about your grandfather?
Grandpa came from Kendal, Russia in 1856. He and his wife came over and settled 3 miles southeast of Hague, North Dakota.
And who did he marry?
Grandpa Marquart married Barbara Holm in 1879. Grandpa's family came from the Alsace, Germany, to Russia in 1808.
Your grandpa still speak German?
Oh yes, very good. Very well. Great-grandpa Marquart was a school teacher and a farmer by trade. The property he had with him when he came to move to Russia was 1 cow, 1 heifer, 1 calf, 2 horses, 1 wagon, 1 plow, and 1 harrow. That was in 1908. The Joseph Marquart's family came to America on vessel SSELBE. They left from Germany and came to New York in 1885. The city of Kendall had opportunity for 100 families located 2 miles south of Sells. Kendall received about 24,000 acres of crown land, and each family had about 260 rubles to get started on. In April 1905, Grandpa Marquart moved his family 3.5 miles north of Napoleon, where the home is still there. He had 9 sections of land and was called the Logan County Wheat King, as he was one of the greatest producers. Grandpa Joseph Marquart died 1937. There were 6 generations of the Joseph Marquarts. My dad, George Marquart, was born September 1890, and he died in 1965. He married Elizabeth Kuhn, July 1913, and they had 10 children. 5 died before I was born.
Carol, who do we have here?
Here we have my mom, Elizabeth Kuhn, and George Marquart. This was their wedding day picture, July of 1913.
What do you remember the most about your parents?
My parents were the kindest, giving people that I have ever known. Like I said before, they gave us all of our furniture when we were married and whatnot, plus 1/4 section of land and 12 cows when we were married, Frank and I. They were hard-working people, and they were always generous.
And how old were your parents here in this photo?
This was their 50th wedding anniversary photo of George and Elizabeth Marquart. And the home, they built the home way back when and lived there and farmed until 1938. The home is still there.
Does it still look the same?
It has been changed. It has been remodeled.
How? What does it look like now compared to this photo?
The 2 gables are gone, and they have a different roof on it. And they changed this, the front part where the greenery is, they've taken that off and put an extra door, a garage in there on that side.
What do you remember the most about this farmhouse? What do you remember the most about this farmhouse?
This is the farmhouse where I was born. Yes, and it was beautiful. And Mom always was such a good housekeeper. She had everything sparkling so much that we had to tippy-toe around all the time, take our shoes off, even then.
Now, is this you here in this photo?
My graduation picture of May 1945.
And how old were you?
18.
What do you remember the most about graduation?
I remember this dress was homemade by my friend's mother. Mrs. Grannis made my dress. And our graduation, we had 27 in our class, but 2 of them were still in service, but we let them graduate with us in 1945. This was during the war of World War II.
And who is this young gentleman?
What a beautiful guy. He's my husband, Frank Mock, who was the best husband in the world, but he passed away in November of 2003.
Remember how old he was in this photo?
He was, on this photo, he was so 19.
Okay. And when did he enter the Navy?
He joined the Navy in 1944, and he got his honorable discharge in 1946 in December.
And did he return home after that?
Yes, he did. Came home to his parents' place in Kintyre, Braddock area. And then a year afterwards, we were married.
What can you tell me about the couple in this photo, Carol?
This is Frank and me. And we were going to a 4th of July lake party north of Braddock. It was a beautiful day, and we had a wonderful time.
What did you do there?
They had a camp where they sold lunches, you know, and they had boats out in the water. So we went. Some of them went swimming. I didn't. I don't like water. And we enjoyed the sand. Had a wonderful day. Right now it's all full of water. There's nothing there.
All right, and is this the same couple that we saw in the previous photo?
Yes, it is. This is in San Diego, California.
And when did you go to San Diego?
In 1945.
And how did you get there?
Frank's sister Helen and I took the train, no, it was not the Soo line. It was the one out of Bismarck. And we went all the way to California. What a wonderful trip that was. And we visited with the Navy man.
What was it like seeing Frank again after all that time?
Oh, it was just great. And I think it did wonders for him too, because he had been in Farragut, Idaho at camp for over a year before that. So it was so nice. So we went touring the city.
What kind of things did you see?
The first thing that we went to was Balboa Park. And oh my, it was just new at that time. And we went up on the roller coaster. And to me, that was the first time I ever saw a roller coaster. And Frank had his cigarette lighter and whatever up in this little pocket. And of course, by the time we got off of there, that was gone. It was disappeared. But we had a good day.
Now this is a nice photo. Where was this taken?
This was also taken in San Diego at Balboa Park. And we were just out walking around and looking at different things. And pretty soon we said, oh, it's about time to have a rest, take a rest. So we sat down on one of the benches. And here we are, Frank and I, 1945.
And this is a wedding photo, and whose wedding is this?
This is Frank and Carol Marks, and it was in October of 1947. Now we have, our bridesmaids were Dina Marquart and Irene Mock, and our best men were Felix Marquart and Pius Mock. And our little flower girl that forgot her basket of flowers in church was Mary Richter.
And can you tell me who the people in the back row are from left to right?
I don't know. From left to right?
Yeah, just from left to right.
Oh, okay. It's Pius, Irene, myself, and Frank, and Dina, and Felix.
And what, was this traditional wedding dress for a German from Russia wedding?
It was just a plain wedding dress. It had a sweetheart neckline, short sleeves, and the veil was only a half down the back with a crown on the top.
And where did you buy your dress?
I bought mine at Wentz and Grins in Napoleon.
And what's special about Winston Grant?
That's where I worked for 4 years.
Did you get a discount on your dress?
Oh, I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. But I'll have to tell you, the crown veil was borrowed to my sister Helen. And our Helen, she discards things, so I have never gotten it back.
And where was this picture taken? It looks like you're on the steps somewhere.
At St. Philip's Catholic Church in Napoleon. Oh.
This looks like a baseball photo here. Who are we featuring?
This is Lefty, Frank Mock. He's my husband, and he was pitching for many years for the Braddock baseball team. 1 year, 2 years, they were invited to Jamestown for the finals, and 1 year they took #1 in state.
What was that like? What were those baseball games like?
Oh, they were fun. They were every Sunday afternoon. We went to baseball games for 20 years, I think. One Sunday afternoon, we even went to Bismarck to the state penitentiary. We got to play there, and one of the balls was hit over the fence, and one of the guys in the penitentiary said, I'll get it. But he was not allowed to get that ball. It was really fun. But you know, after I think we had 3 children already, it was kind of hard to pack up right after church and go from town to town because they were Oh, we went all the way up to Regan and all the way over to Pettibone and down to Linton and Strasburg. It was quite a distance traveling, but it was fun anyway. So then,
Was this typical a typical uniform? Would he wear this for every game, or?
that was our uniforms that we had. They were white with red and black lettering.
And this looks like downtown somewhere?
This was right on Main Street in Braddock, just before we left.
Where you left for?
For a game,
Okay.
because they were practicing.
Did you ever miss a game?
Never, never, never. That was almost like a Bible that you had to go.
So were you cheerleader for Frank?
Oh, yes. Heavens, yes. We were all hollering and screaming and hooray, we won the game. Of course, after the game, there was usually, we could toss a beer or so,
What kind of food did they have at these baseball games?
Okay. Oh, they had just chips, and some of them had hamburgers, Otherwise, we had to take it along.
Oh, so like a picnic?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, that was right before our game.
Okay, in this photo we have, is this Frank and yourself?
Yes, it is. Frank and I, and of course, I just came from church. Still have the dress on, and we went to ball games and we went to everything in our own dresses, and I see it's a long dress just like they can wear now. Gee, I should have kept it.
Was this a dress you bought at the store where you worked?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And did you usually dress up to go to these games?
Always kept our clothes on from church when we went to church. The hat is not on there, I hope.
Did you usually wear hats then?
We always wore hats for church. Oh,
what
my.
kind of hats?
Beautiful hats. I still have 12 of them that I'm going to have at the style show, both in Napoleon and in Braddock, North Dakota. Mm-hmm.
And this is a fairly more recent photo. And who is this family?
This is the Frank Mock family.
And where was this taken?
Taking in our living room on the farm over by Braddock. And we have Frank in the left, Gary, our oldest, in the middle, in the back.
And is Gary the oldest?
Gary's the oldest. And then is Tim. He's the next one down the line. And if we go over to the right here is Cindy. She's the next one. Okay, Mom's on the left.
And then the little guy?
Jay is our baby son. Lynn Marie. And Dean. And Cindy.
And around what year was this taken?
1989, I believe.
And how did your children like growing up out in the country?
Oh, they loved it. Because if they could get on the bus and go to school, fine. If not, Mom took them. She had to go into the store anyway. So they liked it. And of course, after school, they had to come down to the store and to help in the store. And sometimes they'd have to stay for ball practice. It was fun.
It was an adventure.
It was an adventure.